Hello, everyone. Welcome to my section of the 2023 Hexpo. I'll be discussing foundations, representations, and building in the bear. And as always, thank you, Maddie, for hosting the Hexpo, and thank you, Richard Hart, for designing Hex. As usual, I'll start with a sequence of very serious slides, mostly so that you can get accustomed to my speaking parameters. So by the end of this talk, I promise that you'll have witnessed a short and hopefully entertaining presentation. Last year, my talk ran a little long. You can watch it at the link. Additionally, I'm going to focus on some first principles. Now, a lot of principles related to what good crypto is are found in Hex. I'm going to target non-reactivity and transparency. Additionally, I'm going to share plans for some free and open source software for hexagons and building people pipelines. I'll discuss what that means. Additionally, I'll provide some perspective in the bear market. So one of the great things about being a hexagon is exposure to high quality ideas, specifically from Richard, but of course from other individuals in the community. Now, these ideas inform a set of principles, which of course compose an ethic. Now, more generally, we can think of this ethic as a set of parameters, and you'll find that if you reason about the ideal values of these parameters, they'll converge with the values that are specified by Richard. So I'm going to talk about just a few relevant parameters, namely counterparty risk resistance and censorship resistance. These ideas are going to support a notion of non-reactivity. There's a lot of attempts to induce reactions from hexagons. Depending on your perspective, they might be lighthearted or they might be malicious. However, the theme I'm trying to touch on is that we're trying to avoid being reactive. Now, it's not to say that being responsive is a bad thing, but we can be responsive without necessarily being reactive. And to do this, we can start thinking of projects for hexagons and by hexagons. Another parameter that I'm going to touch on, actually this is going to be sort of a pervading theme through the talk, is transparency. Some of my thoughts I have not included on this slide. So the reason I touch on transparency is that the more transparent, let's say, a code base is, the less trust is required. And sadly, I'm noticing a trend where future code bases in the crypto space are starting to be obfuscated. Now, that's not really a good thing if you think about it, because what it does is it forces trust. Security by obscurity is forced trust in perpetuity. Now, if my slides would cooperate, which of course they don't, so I reveal my entire slide deck. Here we go. I'll include a bad joke. Let's, for the purpose of time, let's just assume revealing my entire slide motif was that joke. I have included some transparent thoughts as well, and I've just reminded you about an idea from the previous slide about security and why we should strive for transparency and why we should support it. So the natural question is, how do we support it? Well, we can look at support software. So some support software for that enables or supports transparency is documentation software. And we can just touch on briefly ideas about how to design documentation software. At a very high level, we want it to be very general. And one of the sad things about generality is that people don't always consider ease of specialization. When they create general software, they sort of create one narrow demo path, and that's about it. So a really good design constraint should be triviality of specialization, and also an idea of extensibility. So good docs would likely include support for extant plugins, modules, etc. So why exactly would we want to support extensibility? Well, there's a lot of existing knowledge. Not everyone has it. Not everyone is accustomed to thinking in old ways. And there's a lot of new information. So if we can provide extensions that support a wide array of representations to support transparency, it's going to be easier to integrate new information with existing knowledge so that we can generate new knowledge. And so we run into this theme of learning. Admittedly, there's sort of a dubious connection between what I've been discussing and this little section. However, it should come through across several slides. So hopefully it'll be less. It'll appear to be less tangential than usual. Finding out optimal representations to support transparency can be done by looking through old papers. There's some really great representations in the work of Leslie Lamport that are relevant and that are not, at least to my current knowledge state, well supported in plugins and certain kinds of software. So I think it's important to experiment with these types of representations. Not all of them are going to be good. And just like my sort of thread throughout this slide, the methodology is going to appear a little strange. Eventually, though, we will find the right set of representations to support our goal of transparency. Now, a good question would be, so to revisit this theme of why would we want to create well-designed documentation software? Well, it has to do with people, and specifically creating a pipeline of certain kinds of people into the Hex community. We'll notice that, in the future, it'll be noticeable that the software is free and accessible, and it won't necessarily only support crypto and Hex. So other people might use it. And if it's of high quality and well designed, anyone who can recognize high quality software and who is capable of generating technical text and who generates technical representations in that text in the context of that software is likely to be able to transition into generating code. And they'll do it from a transparency first perspective, which will reduce some security risks. So I'll be kind of exploring this in the new year. I plan to live stream some either the creation process of the documentation software or using the documentation software to make certain properties of extant code more clear, like taking a careful look at hex code, pulse hex code, pulse chain code, etc. So at the moment, I have a few ideas of which software I'm going to use, or which framework, I suppose. I'm just waiting for it to mature a little bit. So at this point, we've covered this poorly put together set of slides. I'm sorry. So there's one topic left to cover, which is just providing some perspective in the bear market. For those who were kind of worried about the future. So perspective in the bear is what I'll touch on next. So it might be a little discouraging when the price fluctuates. But there's obvious things to do while you're waiting for the price to reach whatever target makes you happy. And those things include learning, like I've touched on. You can learn about yourself. You can learn about properties of people. And you can learn about crypto systems. And surprisingly, they have a really intriguing connection. I won't go into it specifically, but this scene from The Matrix captures a Latin phrase that means know thyself, if you'll recall the quote from the movie. And knowing thyself, it involves testing yourself, trying to discover your limitations, thinking about how to overcome them. And really that's the state of our sort of pulse chain hex ecosystem at the moment. There's a lot of testing happening, and not just one test is sufficient. So expecting multiple tests to occur and for tests to continue occurring until the system is just right. So we're learning about ourselves, we're learning about crypto systems, and we're learning about the system that the ecosystem is building and ensuring that it's right. And this touches on notions from my talk last year about battle-tested code and systems. So if you want to see that, hopefully a link will pop up. Yes, and you can go there. So a bear market is a great time to build. There's not much action. So yeah. Sorry for the lackluster presentation there. So now a final note is really about the kind of stories you want to be able to tell next bear market. What you were doing this bear market when everybody lost interest in the space or was stressed out and worried about the price, so that you can help to create the next bull run after the next bull run in the way that you want it to be created. So the stories you tell now based on the actions that you take will inspire others. And think about the things that you want others to do next bear market. So what we learn, build, and share will inform and guide those who come after us. So as promised, I did my best to keep this talk short and entertaining. Certainly watching me stumble over myself and my words and mess up slides, etc. was entertaining, if the jokes were not. We focused on some important first principles from the ethic that Richard shared that inform some of the ideas of, that inform the main thread of this talk. And we have some cool stuff to look forward to once I build it, and once many others decide to build things, whether it's support software or fun crypto stuff. So thank you very much, and this will be my concluding slide. I hope to see everyone soon on the few live streams that I plan on doing. So goodbye, everyone. Have a happy Hexpo.